Okay. Hello. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Andreas. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. I think good day probably covers it all.
Good
Yeah.
morning, everybody.
Hi.
Just as just to remember, I give it another try with a recording. So whoever wants to say something, maybe on the audio, but from yesterday I just put online a little piece because I don't take it all online, or if something is too private, I don't have to. I can cut it out and all that stuff. It's just playing around, just that you know. And everybody can ask a question via the chat, and I won't read out the name, so we can have it totally anonymous.
Sorry, can we only ask questions via the chat, not via the... Yeah, we can't talk to you.
Oh, it's possible. Oh, of course.
Okay.
Oh, yes, please. I
Okay.
prefer that, of course.
Okay.
I'm just
Cool.
saying. No, please, of course. Okay. What's to say? All there is what is. All there is what apparently happens, which is the same thing, basically. It's the same no thing, basically. What is, how it actually is unknowable. It's undescribable and it's unknowable. So it's just blindly itself. What happens, what is blindly itself. And there is no possibility to understand, to comprehend, to experience what is. It's impossible. What apparently happens, or what seems to be happening, can be the impression to be separate from, to be an own separate happening. That would be the me. I'm happening, and everything else is not me. Everything else is separate from me, but is also happening here, now, so to speak, or in time and space. I'm me, I'm something, I'm a person, I'm a human being, I'm consciousness, I'm presence, I'm a soul, whatever. And I'm not the room, I'm not the table, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my thoughts. These are already things that are not me, that are my experience, but they are not me. And it seems to be that part of that experience seems to be an unfulfillment about it. So it is, I'm now here, I'm aware of what's going on, and immediately there seems to come out a seeking out of that. Or immediately there seems to be an unfulfillment and the seeking energy coming out of it. Like, oh, what is this about? What is this? What am I doing here? What is this supposed to be for? What's the meaning of this? Why does it happen? Why is it? What can I do? How shall I live? All those questions, so to speak, seem only to arise out of this sense of presence, and they're coming out of this unfulfillment. It's not really a process like person, unfulfillment, seeking. It somehow goes together. I mean, it's the description of something which doesn't have any reality, but it just seems to go all together. So to experience oneself as someone just means to seek, basically, in some way or the other. Also to seek, it can take any form, so to speak, seeking. It can be trying to be a good person. It can be trying to be a bad person. It can be trying to be successful. It can be trying to be humble. It can be trying to lose the me, trying to become a better me, whatever. Theoretically, one could say the person can seek in anything. It can assume value in any circumstance. So potentially it can seek in everything. But what's being said here is that this whole setup of I am someone, I'm living in a separate, divided reality, the need to find something, or the sense of unfulfillment and the need to find something, they are all part of a dream. Or one could say this whole bunch of things, so to speak, are the dream. They are illusory. They don't have any substance at all. That's why I could say there is no real unfulfillment. So everyone is living happily, more or less, whatever that means. And on the other hand, all those assumptions of what I still need are also just assumptions. Life was apparently going on all the time without getting those things, without having answers, without arriving, without having the final, haven't taken the final step and all those things. It was just going on apparently all the time already. So in that sense, one could say, in the story, one could say, the impression to be me just circles around within its illusory experience. It never meets wholeness. It never meets what it longs for, so to speak. On the one hand, because it's not separate in the first place. And on the second hand, because it's just me defining itself as separate. In that sense, in the story, in that sense, liberation would rather be the complete breakdown of that, which is nothing else than the turning out that it's not real. It's just not there already, which is not logical, but it's not there already. There isn't anything separate. There is no person. Which seen from the me is rather death than something to gain within awareness, within consciousness. Okay, there's nothing to teach. There is no one to teach. There is no one on a path. Nothing is moving towards something else. Nothing is moving towards the actual. This is it. Sitting in front of a screen, being you, being me, having thoughts, feelings, having apparently furniture around is wholeness. That's what happens. That's what apparently happens. That's blindly itself. That's undivided. That's the unseparate. Nothing else. It's not beyond. It's not another reality that we are talking about. That is there somewhere hidden. No, it's this. It's exactly this. Including you, so to speak. Including your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, your whatever, and mine, of course. There is no beyond. There is no beyond that. So Claire was writing. No, I didn't want to read out the name, but well, it was someone else. Yeah. Sorry. It was Pear or something. Well, okay. Hello, Andreas. I love these Zoom meetings with you. I'm staying unseen as I'm in my pajamas. Oh, that's all right. Okay, the next question is, hi, Andreas. I heard you say blind or blindly several times. Can you elaborate? Yes, well, blind refers to kind of that there is no experience of wholeness, or there is no awareness of what's going on in totality. So for the person, it's a lot about becoming aware of, seeing how it is. That's its dream. One day I will see that everything is whole. Or when I see that there is no one, then I'll be free. When I become aware of that I am a dream, then I will be free and all that stuff. But there just is no self-experience at all. There just is no self which experiences and sees. There are no circumstances to see. In that sense, everything is blindly itself. What is doesn't know itself, it just is itself. A certain amount of people sitting in front of a screen, having feelings, having thoughts, sitting on a does not know itself. It doesn't have an experience of itself, how this actually is. Not for one person, but in totality, how this actually is just unexperiencable. But on the other hand, it just is like that, without seeing itself, without experiencing itself, without knowing itself. Sitting in a room doesn't know itself, so to speak. It just is itself. In that sense, everything is blindly itself. There is no noticing of itself, no real noticing. Sitting in a room doesn't notice itself to be happening. It just is apparently happening. That's what the blind means. There is no circumstance to be seen, like totality. Now I see totality and know how it is, because I see it, because I'm aware of it, all that things. It just doesn't exist. And it would, in the story, one could say, it would just be the dream of self-consciousness, which lives in the dream of seeing things, of becoming aware of circumstances, and then to live in the reality of those circumstances. Yeah, there is a world. I've read about it in a book. There are other people. Yes, I'm aware of them. I feel bad because someone stepped on my toe. I'm aware of that. So it's true. This is what's happening, really. That's the dream.
Andreas, good morning.
Good morning. Wait, I have to turn on my... Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. I have a question. I know that you say this is not a teaching.
Yes.
But my question is exposure to the message, or is exposure to this, can it crumble the sense of me, or can it break the structure of me?
Well, yes and no. It can do that, but only if it is what apparently happens, not because it can really do that. And theoretically, everything could do that. Or on the other way around, the structure, the illusion to be a person can crumble anytime.
Okay.
But in the story, also here.
So there's no greater likelihood from the exposure to this message that the me will crumble than there is from anything.
One could say so. But on the other hand, even if we would assume that it would be so, it still wouldn't need the story of helpful. Because the whole idea that the crumbling of the me is an advantage, or is something that needs to be attained by wholeness, would already be part of a dream. So the whole story of helpful, again, only refers to the person which thinks that there is an actual goal.
Right.
Which would be, in these circumstances, would be the crumbling of the me. But that's kind of already a story that the person is living in.
Okay.
So even if it would be more likely that the me crumbles in those meetings, it wouldn't be helpful in a way that the person thinks it is.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think sometimes my attraction to the meetings is because I think, subconsciously it's the me that is after something. And, maybe that's there's some resonance with the message that I think is beyond sort of beyond me, I guess, is how I would put that, maybe.
So that is how I usually say that the resonance and the participation is what apparently happens. But of course, as long as there's the illusion to be someone, this someone will live in an additional story with hope, and that it's good for that I participate in order to. And of course, that what I do will pay off in the end.
Right.
But the person would have this in any circumstance, whatever the person does, that's how it operates. And also here, of course.
All right. I love the meetings as well. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Cool.
I like that comparison yesterday to non-separation, that it not being distance. That was really helpful for the me. It feels, I don't know, my prison's more comfortable, I guess. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if this was a compliment actually, but what to say?
I agree on that.
Oh.
I agree. It was, I also find this a good point. I'm actually still busy with, you know, there's no me is actually proven by scientists. So this is logically, they can explain that there is no me.
Yes.
So what's the difference between what you are talking about and the scientists?
Well, there is no real difference, but there is no real difference in the apparent information that there is no me, that no me can be found. But as long as you have the experience to be someone, it just remains an empty information. That's all. It's like a bit, it's actually, but it's,
when you're talking, it's more like, there's emptiness, or, you know, nothing, but everything is empty, no meaning, and all these things. And scientists try to explain it more like, when you look in the mirror and you see one, there's not one. This is just not true, and you can explain it by, you use just a little capacity of the brain, and
yes.
If you would expand, you could say the consciousness, whatever it means, then you could perceive that this is more holographic, and then there's not only one me, there's just me,
Yes.
all kinds of me's, and it is not, there's no time and no space, there's just one
Consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, they don't say consciousness actually.
Yeah.
Just, this is like a holographic.
I mean, the thing is, what I would say is the apparent difference, but not in the results, so to speak. The apparent difference is that they come to a conclusion by a personal inquiry. So you end up being a person having a new information. And one could say that happens in spirituality with this whole "who am I" movement. It's also me inquiring into a reality, like, how is it? Let's see how it is. And coming to the conclusion by personal inquiry that, oh, I didn't find myself. And then the person can conclude that means that actually there is no one. but it still contradicts their personal experience.
That's true, but
And same happens, same happens with the scientists. They are someone and inquire into the outside reality and come to the same conclusion. And one could say that's kind of fascinating, of course. That's already interesting, but still they remain someone having this conclusion, which they just don't know what to do with it. Same in spirituality. That's all. But that they don't find anyone is not less real or unreal than, of course there is no one, of course. But as long as there is someone coming to this conclusion, which still is a conclusion within a real reality, it's just
you could, but how I see it is like everybody comes from a different point and ends up in the same. And so you could say listening to this talks or, listening to the scientists or meditating, whatever, it can lead to this or not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, life leads to death.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So
And what we talk about here is an early death. But that's not a goal even. It's not presented as you would want that or something. Oh yeah, of course, it doesn't matter. Oh, whatever. Of course. It's not better to...
It's actually the same, just because it is from a me personal experience, you think it's not the same. But
Oh, it's neither different nor the same.
Yeah, that's what I think, because there is no me.
Yeah, of course.
It looks like a me, but there is no me, so then it's no difference.
Oh no, not at all. Oh, you are very welcome to join science circles.
No, for me, it's fascinating because this is more the last years, 30 years, 40 years ago, it was not like this.
Oh, it is fascinating. I understand. It is, well, it's apparently fascinating, but oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I kind of like it, that the idea of there not being a me somehow more or less enters the mainstream.
Yes.
But not at all from the direction of this message.
No, but
not at all.
It's still fascinating. And it changes somehow. It changed something. I think it's changed something just by, by having another idea.
Apparently, yes. That's what seems, not really, of course, but that seems to be happening. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, I go on in the chat. Wait, I have to somehow. Oh. Okay, so if looking at a tree was happening, is looking at a tree literally all there is? Therefore, the idea that there is also a world or even a different tree behind me is an illusion. Oh, no, because there isn't a real happening looking at a tree. So that looking at a tree is a real happening is the illusion. And that's duality, so to speak. The moment you say something is real, you automatically have something which is not real. If you say this is happening now, what's beyond that? What's before that? What's after that? What's within that? What's behind that? Yes, but it's exactly this actual moment here now, or the experience of a present moment, which is the dream, and which separates everything out. So no, looking at a tree is what apparently happens, but it's not an experience. And the dream would be that I am something that's separate from the tree, only being aware of the tree. That would be the dream, so to speak. It's very superficially spoken, because it doesn't really happen. That's the funny thing. There is no one separate from the tree. There is no being aware of a separate tree. It never happens, which I can't explain. It's not logical, but separation doesn't happen. So it's not only that this moment is real and everything else is an illusion. No, everything is what it is, and everything is real and unreal. There is no distinction between what is real and what is not real. There is no distinction between truth and illusion. No, all there is what happens, what apparently happens, which is real and unreal. Nothing is an illusion as such. Okay, the next question is, what happens to wanting when there is no me anymore? There is no one who wants anything specific or don't know what to want. Yeah, I have that problem sometimes. People are what do you want? Ah! Silence. No. Or there is just wanting or no wanting at all. Thank you. Yes, I mean, wanting is what apparently happens, but one could say there is no one assuming fulfillment in getting it. So wanting is just normal, wanting things, silence or food, or want to go for a walk or whatever, but the person doesn't really want the actual things, so to speak. It wants what their things promise. So, and that drops basically. So the person would think, if I can go for a walk every day, this somehow adds something to my peace account or whatever. So this assumption drops. And again, it would just, the person would just add its thing on it. It would experience the wanting as not whole, and it would need the getting of, the fulfillment of the wish to be whole. It thinks wanting isn't complete, so to say. It also there, it hopes that the answer is in the future and that I will really get something from getting what I want. That drops. Wanting is whole, wanting is it. It doesn't need getting what one wants.
Andreas,
Yes.
when I experience culture shock and extreme anxiety, it feels like something's going to die. And secondly, like, why do I have thoughts of like wanting to go to Mars, have aspirations to want to go to Mars? How's that connected to the self? So there's these two kind of, like when I experience culture shock and anxiety, I feel like I'm closer to with this.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a huge culture shock on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you say there's no paths, but if I'm standing on Mars, I think I would lose all sense of, I don't know, self.
Yeah, maybe if you stand on Mars, you wouldn't lose any sense. I mean, there is no answer. Basically,
That's pretty funny, I know.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, whatever. It's probably it feels even more practical than wanting to be enlightened. So wanting to be on Mars is still kind of possible, but well, the thing is that just basically there's no answer to why. Why do I feel like that? Why do those thoughts come? Why? There is no answer to why it is as it is. It's just you can invent a story, or we could invent a story, but it would just be that, a story, an answer to why. And wanting to go to Mars is what apparently happens, is totally fine. But when there is the illusion to be someone, there will be the illusion of a process and the assumption that I gain something when I'm on Mars. So the hope would be that something will really change for me by me arriving at that goal. That's the dream, and that is what is meant when you said nothing changes. regarding the story of self-fulfillment, regarding this idea that, oh, when I have that, whatever that is, that will really change my life and my happiness stuff. That's the dream. But the dream, one could say, isn't wrong either. If that is what happens, that's what happens. There will be no gain on Mars anyway, no matter if someone believes that there is a gain or not. So it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Can I ask a follow-up to that?
Oh yeah, please, of course.
So I've heard this piece of wisdom or aphorism that says don't share dreams with other people because it dilutes the energy, because people's projections onto someone who's sharing their dreams depletes like concentration and focus, right?
Yeah.
How does that relate to, I mean, it seems like that's a cause and effect kind of thing.
Yes.
Maybe is, because I still have, there's that here, like where it's like, you know, I'm trying not, yeah, it's just, it's a fine.
I mean, the thing is, even if it is like that, it's same as before, even if it is like that, there would be no one able to consciously do it or not. So in the end, it just is, that just is what apparently happens. Yes, if you eat every day at McDonald's, you may gain a lot of weight. That's kind of apparently true or likely. But there still is no one who can do or going or not going there and doing it.
Hey, yeah, I can't criticize McDonald's. I love those fries. Sometimes I just have to eat those fries.
Yeah. Oh, there. I'm
Anyways,
not.
thanks.
No, I don't. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's helpful. It's kind of like, because, you know, I just had an impulse to go light some incense, and then I didn't because I'm like, oh, that's not non-duality. And then I'm like, well, maybe I should get up and go light the incense in order to fight back against that. So there's this thing going on with, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but exactly, somehow that would be the illusion that there is a right or wrong way to do life, and that there is an illusion way to do life, and that there is a right non-dual way to do life, and all of that stuff. That just, I mean, nothing is wrong. I mean, it's not wrong to light the incense, and it's not wrong to not light the incense by thinking it's not non-dual enough, but it's, you know.
Thank you.
You know,
I yield time. Thank you, guys.
oh, thank you. Okay, question. Hello, Andreas. When you are speaking about me or someone, what is exactly meant? Well, nothing is really meant. It's meant the illusion that most people refer to, claiming that they are someone. So it is usually experienced as a sense of presence, the assumption that there is something in here. That is what I refer to. It's an illusion. So it's never really a me or when someone is there. That's just very superficially spoken, you know. But when the illusion to be someone is what apparently happens, which sounds utterly complicated and actually says nothing at all. Yes, exactly. So most people assume that there is a center within them, which has reality. And that their story and all the apparent consequences of that impression, that I am someone, that I have to consciously do life, that there is right or wrong, the suffering that comes out of that, that there is a goal, but I'm not able to reach it, and the effort that I have to do something, that I'm doing something, that I'm successful, that I'm potentially able to fail, that failure could happen, and all that stuff somehow refers back to that first impression to be someone, that there is someone which I am in the first place. which a lot of apparent people share or seem to have that. So that's meant with that. What's difficult is if it comes to exactly, because it's all within a story. You can't say what is the me exactly. That's exactly that question which will never be answered, because there is no me, because there also is no real illusion of me. It just is what apparently happens. So there is no what exactly is meant. Okay, next question. There is luckily no inquisition system anymore, so you can speak more freely about nothing. Yeah, so far. So far, so good in some regions. Yeah, who knows? And the next question is, I missed the talk yesterday. Could you go over distance that you talked about? I'm not really sure what you mean. Maybe you mean that there is no distance? I don't, could you go over distance? Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I don't really understand it. Generally, we spoke about there being no one. Yes, in the distance, yeah, we were talking about a distant distance, that there just is no distance. We were talking about things being separate and what it means that there is no separation. And it basically, I think we were just talking about that there is no distance, that there is no separation, that there is no awareness, that there isn't a distance between me and the tree and the room. And exactly, yeah.
Andreas?
Yes.
Sorry, just to go back as well to something you said yesterday about, you know, I was trying to distinguish between kind of what comes out here and what comes out there. And we talked about useful and useless. And you were saying like everything's superficial. And I was thinking, but is there not is there not a clear difference that what comes out of here, because there's still a me, is a story, but what comes out of there is not a story. Like just somebody said that there's still stories when there's no me.
Yeah, I would exactly say the other way around. all that comes out here and all that comes out there are stories. But the person believes the story to be true. It's
Right.
all stories. True, there isn't anything true that can be spoken. So in that, we are exactly the same. I'm speaking stories, you're speaking stories. But if you believe yourself to be someone, you may hope for truth in the stories.
Okay.
That it's kind of true what you say, that's the hope, and that it's kind of true what I say, true in the sense of knowable and understandable.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because I wouldn't. I don't generally believe that what I say is true when
Yeah,
we're
me
talking
too,
about
Mark.
this kind. You know, talking about non-duality. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't think anything I say is true. But I do. I suppose I do. I do think that what you're saying somehow is true.
Yeah. No, that's
Not true as in knowable, but at least, yeah, there's not a me there. There's not an illusion of a separate self. So, you know, it's coming, I suppose from you, it feels like it's coming out of wholeness. Whereas from here, it's coming out of the illusion of a me.
well, yeah, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say so. I mean, yes, one could say there is no one, but that's why nothing is said and not something is said which has value. There is no, there's nothing to gain from what I say, nothing at all. And I would say it's the same on your side. But of course, when there is someone, there is just the assumption that these aren't stories, but there's potentially truth on your side or on my side. It doesn't matter, but where the truth is supposed to be. But
You were saying it's all superficial. Is that because it's all only appearance?
so to speak, it's all empty. Yes. It doesn't have, nothing has really depth in it or value or meaning and stuff. I think depth, the person would is thinking of depths, deep wisdom, deep stuff. The person kind of has actually, because it has value and meaning, and this is really saying something. It's not just talking about the weather, it's talking about the absolute truth of life. So, but there is no, in that sense, everything is superficial because there is no value or deep truth in anything, so to say. In that sense, it's in that sense it's superficial. Everything is itself. Superficial is maybe also already giving it. I like superficial, but some people may give it a negative connotation. No, it just is what it is.
Like it. It just really counters that kind of search for, like you say, depth and wisdom and meaning and truth. It just, it kind of cuts through that.
Of course, there's no meaning and truth on my side.
Yeah.
Not because I'm lying or not because I'm just selling something, stupid ideas or concepts. No, what comes out here is what comes out here, and it's total and whole and complete. As on your side, of course, but on the same time, it's empty and meaningless and nothing else but stories.
Yeah.
But it's also, as I said, it's not playing games, or it's just what comes out here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see why the message isn't popular. Okay, thanks, Andreas.
Thank you. Okay. I go on in the chat. Okay. My work is with traumatized clients. The language used and what seems to help is the opposite to this, because there is hurt from abuse. Yeah. Would you say it is just the appearance of healing apparently happening? And would you say it is wholeness appearing as trauma and appearing as a supposed someone who can help, an appearance of healing? Oh yes, of course. All of that just is what apparently happens. Trauma, traumatized body, helping that. And for most people, the assumptions that they are someone who is traumatized and who needs help or can be helped. Yeah, of course. That's what apparently happens. Yeah. Trauma is kind of functioning. It's biology, is what apparently happens. Yeah, that's all right. Trauma is all right, as the healing of trauma is all right, of course. And your role in that, so to speak, your apparent role in that is what happens as well. Yeah. Totally. Next question. So there is really no distance between anything. Yes, exactly. There's no space. There is no here and there, really. Yeah. The question is, this might just be another conspiracy theory. Oh, yes. Yes. Seen from the person, what's being said here is just another theory. Of course. What else? The person could always say, yeah, maybe it is like that, but What if there is a me actually? So yeah, it's just another theory that it can believe in or not. Yep. Okay, next question. Apparently, it all stories that can only point. They can't even point because all words are form, and this is not form. No matter who's talking, no one gets it or has got it. No one can hold on to emptiness to get it. Yes, but I would even doubt, not doubt, but I wouldn't even say that it's pointing. This is not even pointing to something. There was a break. Okay, I'm back. I'm just saying it's not even pointing to something. This doesn't try to point to how it actually is. If you want, you can say it's an apparent pointing, but it's only pointing to itself by being itself. There is no pointing. This is not even pointing to something. It just is itself. Sitting in front of a screen, Andreas talking, people listening is itself. There is no pointing to something. Not at all. Not a single bit. It just is what apparently happens. And as I said, as a historian could say, apparently it points to itself, but remains itself at the same time. Which is gorgeous. Okay. In the context of no separation and no boundaries or distance, if someone else enter the room, will you be affected by his emotions, feelings, and thoughts? Energy moving from one body to another, even though it's not separated. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing. Both just is what apparently happens. Someone entering the room and the reaction. That's already kind of an effect, so to speak. Oh, yeah, of course. Nothing is separate. So, oh, yeah, of course. I'm receiving a question and answering to it is already, I'm affected by. Of course, that's constantly happening. But all of that isn't separate. There isn't a me here, and there isn't another person entering the room, and there isn't that I'm affected by that. All of that just is undividedly what apparently happens, blindly. Oh yeah, totally.
Andreas, could I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Is with Anne or Sophie asking, like when someone gives someone else good or bad vibes?
Yes. Oh, that's what apparently happens.
Yeah, I'm just trying to simplify it in my mind. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Is that what was being said there?
Having so-called bad feelings because other people have bad feelings may apparently happen. Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course. Okay, next question. Yeah, apparently pointing. Yes, yes. And another statement was, there is no how it actually is. Yes, exactly. Exactly. There just is no how it actually is. Yeah. The wholeness or complete, or those words are already sound like as if they're how it actually is. There's not a circumstance. There is not one circumstance of how it actually is. There is no truth. There isn't one thing that is true and real. There is not even one thing. There isn't anything that is real, so to speak. Oh yeah, of course. And even those sentences is not like it as it actually is. The person might assume, yeah, it's not sitting in a room. Actually, it's no thing. But immediately it somehow implies that it's something else than sitting in front of a screen and being you and being me. Yeah. Well, that's a tough one. Question. Would you say that the illusion of a self is equally as unreal as anything else, or is it illusory to a different degree? Yes. Well, one could say everything is real and unreal, including people assuming themselves to be someone. But there never is a real me or a me energy within someone or not. There is no me. It's the illusion of a me, which is real and unreal. So the person might very easily have the concept, yeah, the me is as unreal as everything else, as real and unreal. So there is a me in here, and yes, it's like a table. No, because what we actually refer to is the illusion of a me in here, which is not logical, but it's exactly what the scientists or spiritual people find out. They live in the real world and state, yeah, but there is no me. So what this states, if there really is no me, no one knows about a world and that stuff. So everything is real and unreal, including the illusion that there is a me. But people assuming themselves to be someone is what apparently happens. But there is no me in them. There also is no real illusion of me in them. It's just that somehow there is no they, constantly assume that there is someone that needs to find something. And that's what apparently happens. Okay, Ian, someone adds, I think Jim says everything is real and unreal, except the me, which is illusory. Yes, exactly. If you say there is a world and all that stuff, the only illusion is the me. Exactly. The world isn't an illusion, or the room, or you and talking and speaking. That's what apparently happens. That's unknowable. And apparently, the only illusion within that is I am someone who is separate from it. Yes. Okay, next questions. I'm wondering, what is the fuel of this sense of separation, if there is such a thing? It doesn't seem like I'm particularly interested in separation or oneness for that matter, but still it seems to continue. Yes, that's a bit the mean part, because in a way the fuel of the sense of separation is wholeness itself, because it's just wholeness appearing as the sense of separation. It's God. It's God itself who does it. That's the mean thing about it. That's no one can do anything about it. That's why there is no one who does actually fuel the me or could unfuel it consciously. Because there is no me, because it's not separate, because it's a story. I don't want to imply that there is someone, but you assuming yourself to be a person is what apparently happens. With no one being in it, with no choice at all. Not even with anyone fueling it, unfortunately, or fueling it by not knowing it better. No, not at all. It just is what apparently happens. As much as it is the dropping of it, the apparent melting away of that. Okay, next question. Could you say anything about the me coloring everything? I've heard this mentioned sometimes. Well, it just, one could say when there is someone, the person seems to overlay everything with its own experience. So everything somehow becomes personalized by it being experienced. So suddenly the tree becomes, it doesn't really fit, but it somehow becomes my tree because he takes place within my awareness. when I'm sitting in a room, this somehow becomes my room by it, not in the sense of owning it, but by somehow being aware of it. It plays a role in my life. It is something that somehow has something to do with me, gives me something, takes something away, has a certain point in value, all of that. So that would be the overlaying with the personal reality. It would overlay nothing with the assumption that it's made out of things, that it is something made out of things. And in that way, but seen from the person, everything is kind of colored by me. Apparently, of course, not really. The tree doesn't care at all if you think it's a tree or a cloud or what you think the tree has value for you. It doesn't. So the tree isn't really bothered by that at all. Except maybe by scratching hearts in it or something. Tree might think, what an asshole. He thinks I am something. Yeah, he thinks I am special. Or whatever. Okay, question. Isn't that the me have created many illusions? No, like the illusion we have democracy. Well, the thing is that in the end, the me doesn't create anything. It's just what apparently happens. So you can't really blame the me for that. But of course, that's what apparently happens. People assuming themselves to be someone and go on a search for wholeness. Or people assuming themselves to be someone, thinking that they have to do life, invent systems and all that stuff. But all of that isn't really the me doing, because there is no me doing anything. It just is what apparently happens. Maybe including that most people assume themselves to be someone. All right. Okay. Next question. I think what's scary to the me is the apparent total loss of control without it, that the control was assumed. Yes, that's a part of the fear the person can feel, of course. That there is no control, that there never was control, which it can't really access. Yeah, yeah. There is no control about anything, not about the world, not about one's own thoughts, about one's own reactions, about anything. There is no one there. There is no one there who could have control, of course. And the assumption of the person is kind of, well, no, it doesn't matter how successful or not successful my life was, but at least I'm still alive because of me, because I was there and at least managed that. At least I survived until now. So good that I'm there. Yes, it was pure luck. It was just what apparently happened. Or well, some people wouldn't even call it luck, but it just was what apparently happened. Yeah. Ugh.
Hello, Andreas. Can
Hello.
you see me?
Yes, yes.
I'm holding your book.
Yes.
In the foreword, you wrote this book is not for you.
Ah, yeah. Nice.
But definitely, this book is not for me. I found out I cannot remember anything after I read some sentences here. But
Yes.
thank you for this book anyway.
No,
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the feedback. Great. So it can be seen as a long-term investment. You can read it again and again and again. Well, Okay, next, last question. It's an organizational one. Andreas, will these apparent Zoom meetings continue for the foreseeable future? Hope so. Well, I don't know, because for now I actually decide every week or every 2 weeks, and it depends a bit on if I will be traveling again or not. But as long as I'm at home, I go for it. And yeah, so we'll see. I like him. I like it very much. So we will see. Okay, in that sense, thank you very much. There's nothing to do or nothing to not do. There is no suggestion, no homework or whatever. There is no person, there's no one separate. So everything is already whole and complete. And with everything, it's just this, what happens, how it is, how it already is. Nothing will be added to this. Nothing will be gained from this. Nothing has to, because it's just naturally whole and complete. Thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful